I had to borrow my commander's sat phone and get on the roof of this house in the middle of nowhere. Here I am calling her, and she just tells me I'm pregnant. And there was what I felt like an eternity pause.
She was just weeping and broken on the couch.
So it was luckily a short deployment, the shortest one I've ever had. It was only 4 months. We were doing extremely dangerous things every night. Probably one of the hardest 4 months I've ever gone through, mentally and emotionally.
No one's talking about this on the guy's side. No men are coming and talking about how they were involved in an unplanned pregnancy and what that looked like for them.
I mean, I couldn't apologize enough to her. I felt like I had wronged her, all of that, because one, I wasn't there to stand beside her. Two, she's having to face this, looks like alone, to the rest of the world.
When push comes to shove, if you've got it in you to pursue your dreams, you're gonna find a way. Today's episode is a wild one, y'all, because we're hearing the other side of a story you might already know. If you listened to episode 12, you already met Kate and heard her side of facing an unplanned pregnancy in college. Today, we're talking to her husband and getting the often overlooked male perspective on navigating an unplanned pregnancy. Today's guest was raised in church, serves in the Air National Guard, and did all of the right things until college life took a detour. What started as a carefree season took a sudden and sobering turn the day he stood on a rooftop overseas and found out he was going to be a father by somebody he had recently been casually seeing. In today's episode, we sit down with Connor, a man whose story is raw, redemptive, and real. From an unplanned pregnancy and long-distance deployment to meeting his girlfriend's parents for the first time while she was carrying their child, Connor shares what it means to truly step into adulthood before he felt he was ready. He talks about owning his responsibilities, breaking the stigma around young fatherhood, and learning to lead a family even when everything feels uncertain. Buckle up, y'all. This is going to be an episode you do not want to miss. And if you are loving the stories you're hearing on this podcast, there are 2 easy ways you can support us. First, consider becoming a donor by clicking the link in our show notes and leaving a tax-deductible donation. Every gift, big or small, helps ensure that no student mom has to face an unplanned pregnancy alone. Second, drop us a 5-star review. It's totally free. It makes a difference in getting these stories out there, and it is an easy way to support this podcast. Thanks again for your support. It truly means the world. But now let's jump into this episode as we welcome Connor to Unplanned and Untold. Connor, oh my goodness, it's so good to have you on the podcast. How are you and your precious family?
I'm great. It's good to see you again.
It's been a long time. It's been a very long time since I've seen y'all. I mean, you've added to your family since I've last seen you and Kate.
Yep. Added, had to move. Yeah.
Oh my word. So where are y'all now?
We are down just outside of Orlando.
Nice.
So, yep.
Very nice. Do you make it over to Disney often?
Sometimes, yeah.
Really
So, but we're enjoying it, kind of out in the suburbs, away from the craziness.
Yes, it is wild down there. It's kind of a whole new world in South Florida. That's where I'm from,
Yeah.
So I can say that it is crazy out there.
It is growing. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we are so excited to have you on. You are setting history as the second male that we've had on the podcast. So y'all are charging the way.
Well, I feel honored.
It's so awesome. And for all of our listeners, we did interview Connor's wife, Caitlin, quite a few episodes back. So if you're looking for the other piece of their story, you'll want to go ahead and listen to her episode. But Connor, let's jump right in. Tell me a little bit about how you were raised and your family life.
So I grew up in South Alabama, small town, one high school town, conservative family, went to church since I was in diapers, all of that. And it was, I would say typical small town living.
Okay.
And
then you went to Auburn?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So whole family went to Auburn, so it was kind of predetermined. And went to Auburn, and at the same time was serving in the National Guard, so that kind of was living that dual life, deploying and school and all that.
Okay, so sometimes military guys in college can get a little bit of a bad rep. What was college like life, living both sides of the National Guard and being in school?
It was pretty good. I had a good group of friends. Most of my friends that I went to college with from my small town, their family was military, so they understood it. Most people just kind of knew that I would disappear for 9 months to a year and then come back, and they're like, "Where have you been?" I was like, traveling. and that was it. And so then I would just pick right up where I left off, and And the teachers were all pretty good about it. They were like, "Hey, as long as you get your work done, we're fine." And so it was fun. It was interesting. So I basically took 7 years to get a bachelor's because of all the deployments. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then the partying side of things, what was that like in school?
SEC. So it was, the rumors are true. There's a lot of parties, and unless you have your head on straight and have a good group of friends, you fall right into it, which I definitely did. So Wednesday to Saturday drink specials were a thing.
I hear you. Those big styrofoam cups.
Oof.
I don't think you'll ever forget those as
No.
long as you live.
No. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I remember those days like yesterday. It's easy. It's very easy to get sucked into that party lifestyle.
Yeah, everyone's doing it. Yeah.
It's true. Everyone's doing it. And a Wednesday through Saturday lifestyle, it's hard to get out of because all of your friends are going. And so you just kind of get sucked into that peer pressure and doing all of that. So talk to me a little bit about how you met Kate.
So so we're 4 years apart as far as age, and because of the deployments and stuff, we kind of crossed over at Auburn where she was attending, and I think we met. She was a junior, and I was finishing, what would be my senior year, and so we met at an Auburn football game where she was in the row in front of me, I was behind her, and I'm sure I was annoying and just bugging her. But we were actually dating other people at the time. So we met as friends, as a big group of friends at the stadium that day. And we stayed in touch, kind of as a big friend group. And then about a year later, so I just graduated Auburn and was figuring out what to do with the rest of my life and was getting ready to deploy again. And then we met back up as both single, and then away we went.
Away we met, meaning the reason we're on this podcast
Yeah.
is obviously, if you listen to Kate's episode, she has an unplanned pregnancy. And so to be able to hear Connor's side of the story, especially the intricacies of him getting deployed, y'all, I'm just super excited for you to hear everything that they had to navigate and just how incredibly different their story was than your typical, we met in college, we got pregnant in college. I mean, they had to go through a lot of hoops to get where they are married today. So talk to our listeners about how you found out Kate was pregnant.
Yeah, so we had a very short dating period where it was like the summer after I graduated. It was her summer going into her senior year, and we obviously got together, and then I deployed, and then she started school. And it's about 30 days into that deployment. Couldn't even tell her where I was going or anything. All she had was an email address. And I get an email saying I needed to call her. And I told her, like, calls were probably not going to happen.
Right.
But I knew that if she was asking, something was up. So I had to borrow my commander's sat phone and get on the roof of this house in the middle of nowhere. And so here I am calling her, and she just tells me I'm pregnant. And there was what I thought felt like an eternity pause, but she said it was a few seconds. And I told her, we're going to do this together. And I can't exactly describe it, but it was an overwhelming peace when I completely mentally and emotionally committed to whatever it looks like, but that I would not walk away. That piece was everything. Now, I was scared out of my mind. I didn't know how we were going to do it. I didn't know if that meant us together or what. I had no idea. And we were freshly dating, and here I was on the other side of the world. And so that's kind of how it all started.
Insane. Absolutely. I mean, it's like a movie. Y'all's life is literally a movie that I would cry in. I mean, I'm going to be holding back tears. Our listeners don't really understand, but I got to walk through this story with Kate and Connor to a beautiful degree, honestly. And their story is just so incredibly amazing.
Yeah. And to kind of tie in her piece to all that, she found out and you can go back and listen to her side of it. But she had an abortion planned for that Monday. I think she found out on a Friday, and so she went to church Sunday. And hearing that, she decided she wasn't going to go get the abortion. And then I think she got in touch with you through some friends at the church. And I think it was Tuesday is when I got the email. And so then I called her on that following day, and that was it. And I had, no idea about baby steps or, how much the church had wrapped their arms around her. And then I was extremely blessed that the 12-man team I was on in the middle of nowhere were all dads and all strong believers.
Wow.
And which is rare. Most of them are young guys, and most of them are divorced or whatever. So I came down off the roof, handed the phone to the commander, and I just spilled my guts. I was like, "Hey, this is what just happened," and we had a job to do, dangerous job. And his first question was, "Are you okay? What do you need?" And so then we went about our job, did everything. But then when we had downtime, they pulled me aside, each one of them, and were just spilling like fatherly advice and how to navigate, all this kind of stuff. And they were, as those kind of guys do, I was getting all the jokes. Somehow they found baby onesies and were hiding them in all my equipment. And oh yeah, it was funny. So they were trying to make light of it, but they were obvious. I mean, they were the best thing to have around me when my family and my friends weren't there. So.
Oh my goodness. And I'll never forget that call about Kate. It was late. It was pretty darn late at night. And I'll never forget it. Karen Snyder had called me and said, "Hey, I've got a girl, just found out she's pregnant. She's got an abortion scheduled, but I just want her to hear from you and, your experience." And at that point, we lived outside of town. I was trying to live, the farm lifestyle. Wasn't cut out for that. I figured that out really quickly. But I drove in, the 30 minutes into town, and I remember meeting her for the first time at her friend's apartment. She was just weeping and broken on the couch and just not knowing what to do. And Baby Steps was brand new. Caitlin was our very first student mom ever, which we had just opened our doors. And to be able to sit across from her knee to knee and just tell her, "I've been there. I've gone through these emotions. There is light at the end of this tunnel, and we can walk alongside of you and Connor as you figure this out." I can't imagine what it felt like to hear those words, but then to also have to figure out your relationship while you were deployed. How long were you deployed, and what did your relationship look like during that time?
So it was luckily a short deployment. It was the shortest one I've ever had. It was only 4 months.
Only 4 months.
Yeah, only 4 months. It was intense. 12 guys, and we were doing extremely dangerous things every night. And so it was rough. So I would go from that to then she mailed me a Babies for Dummies book, and I read that thing cover to cover. It stayed in my backpack in the vehicles and everything. But yeah, I probably burned way too many minutes on the satellite phone, because I would call her every chance I had, or email or whatever, and it was one, just trying to build that relationship when it was brand new, and then two, trying to step up in whatever way I could as in some role as a provider, to go, "Hey, here's how I can help. Here's how we can do this." Trying to just solve problems, which I've learned now. We've been married for a while, and that sometimes she just needs to vent. She doesn't need a problem solved every time. So,
Connor, you figured out marriage. That is marriage in a nutshell, and you have cracked the code, my man.
Yeah. So it a lot of times, especially in those 4 months, she would tell me something, and I was like, "Okay, well, here's how I can solve it." She's like, "Just be quiet." And so, but it was rough. The other little piece of this is that she had not met my parents, and I had not met hers. And
Wild.
yeah, so after we talked, I think we
How do
waited a
you
week.
tell your parents, first of all, and what is their reaction?
Yeah, I think we waited a week. We told her parents first, or she told them. I mean, I couldn't be there, and it was rough. Um, and there was a lot of family history there, and just some scar tissue that got reopened, and it was rough. I won't say it was pretty. There were a lot of things that were said on both sides that really wish could be taken back. But luckily, that relationship with my now in-laws is loving. Love them to death, and I know they love me, and they love our boys, and they are the most amazing grandparents. So God definitely healed that relationship, and it took a lot. It took a lot of being humble and honest with each other. So then we called my parents, and I'll never forget. I told them, and I don't know why, but I was nervous that they wouldn't be supportive. I had no reason to, but they then, hey, whatever you need, and then they immediately offered, does she need us? Because they were 2 hours away from Auburn. So I was like, well, I'm sure she does need somebody. I said, but I don't know if she wants to meet you without me, now they're carrying, your grandchild. And so Kate is the bravest, strongest person I know, and she met my parents without me and all of that. And so it was a wild 4 months trying to figure stuff out. And then I got home in between Christmas and New Year's.
Wow. I can't imagine her meeting your parents without you and how scary that must have been. And still the shame, that is attached to, I've got to face now your parents with the baby without you. Like, that's terrifying.
Yeah. It was, the guilt, the shame, all the emotions, they wanted to show love, but they don't want to be overbearing. They don't want to invade her space as she's navigating all of this. They wanted to be respectful of everything she was going through, and it was a tightrope for everybody.
Absolutely. But to get to watch your family firsthand and how they reacted to her was such a beautiful thing from the outside looking in. I think especially your sister, just watching her love Kate with open arms, no questions asked, like, what can I do, was just beyond myself to see that. Usually there's a little bit of like a little rivalry with sisters when you introduce somebody new into the family. They got to feel out the girl and make sure that this is the right one for their brother. But your sister was not like that.
No, not at all. So I'm the oldest of three, younger brother, younger sister. So Caroline is the youngest. And Caroline and Kate talk every day now. And I'm like, hey, Kate will ask me, when's the last time you talked to your sister? I'm like, I don't know, it's a month or something. And it's ridiculous. Like they know more about each other than I do now. And so.
It was so beautiful to see and such a great thing for Kate to be able to experience. So how did it feel knowing that Kate had to face these challenges, especially being on campus, with a big belly without you there?
Yeah. I felt, I couldn't apologize enough to her. I felt like I had wronged her and all of that because, one, I wasn't there to stand beside her. And two, she's having to face this, what looks like alone to the rest of the world. There's no ring on her finger. There is no guy beside her. And, I really hadn't met a lot of her friends. So, there's nobody, there's no face to this guy. So I felt very ashamed. And just, I, I can never put myself in her shoes and what she had to walk through daily. I tried to talk to her about it, tried just trying to empathize, and I got as close as I could, but it was rough. And then and we've talked about it since then, but I had one foot deployed and one foot trying to be with her, and it's hard because, especially in the military and deployed, you kind of have to focus so you can get home. And so that was another thing, is trying to stay focused and everything. So it was a tightrope of emotions and just all of it. Probably one of the hardest 4 months I've ever gone through, mentally and emotionally.
Absolutely. I mean, your heart is halfway across the world, and what she's facing, but you at the same time were having to navigate all of these emotions and fears and the stigma of, what do I do when I get back to provide for this new family? That's a lot on your plate as well.
Yeah. I mean, just graduating, going to a deployment to pay off the little bit of student debt I did have and kind of start whatever career I was going to go into that I didn't have locked in, with kind of no debt, and then planning to come home to support a family. And I'll never, her dad is one of the most amazing, loving men I've ever met. And meeting him for the first time, I was fully expecting him to hit me in the face. Fully, and I would have been like, yep, deserved that one. But he didn't, and he embraced me with open arms, and asked me and asked her what we needed. Was completely supportive, and I'll forever be grateful for that. And it was extremely difficult looking him in the eye and telling him, I'm going to provide for your daughter and her unborn child, and then not being able to say how, not having a steady job, just saying, I'll be here and I'll figure it out. From a guy's perspective, usually being the provider and the protector, and then looking at her dad, who's always been her provider and protector, and not being able to give that man the confidence, and I can do what I say I can do, was extremely difficult. And he had no reason to believe me when I said I would do what I say I was going to do.
Wow, that really had to be an even harder conversation to navigate. I think even harder than Kate meeting your family, honestly, is, you talking with her father and having to give him the reassurance that I might not have it all together right now, but I promise you I won't give up.
Yeah, exactly. And, it was through just repeated actions of showing up and being there and providing, working however many hours or pursuing whatever job. Until now, we're blessed to be financially stable and a great job. Not to mention, Kate at the same time has now finished and is now a practicing physical therapist. Wow. So, yeah, it's looking back at her walking across the stage at Auburn to receive her bachelor's at 39 weeks pregnant. Me working like just an hourly job to pay the bills, and us not knowing month to month what's going to happen, to now supporting a family and both having amazing careers. It's truly incredible.
Absolutely insane. And I know on Kate's end, there was questions of, I want to be PT. Are my dreams shattered? Am I going to get to do this? And I think that was a big question mark for her family, as well as it is for most females' families when they find out their daughter's pregnant, is you've had a dream, or I don't know if you can hit that dream and also have a baby at the same time. That's just fear speaking, because when push comes to shove, if you've got it in you to pursue your dreams, you're going to find a way to accomplish them. And she did just that. I mean, she went on to finish, I believe it's kind of like a doctorate's program to be
She
a
did,
PT
yeah.
these days now, correct?
Yeah, it was a doctorate program. So the initial plan, was she was going to go in person somewhere. And if you go in person for a doctorate of physical therapy, it's normally 3 years. Right. But now with kids at home and me having to work full time to pay the bills, we found a program that was semi-virtual. So it's a 4-year program to where she could do most of the academics online, but then she had to travel twice a month for like a Friday to Sunday to do all the in-person stuff. And so she committed to it and did it. And so she would, we'd have to coordinate and all that kind of stuff, and she'd have to go and stay the weekend somewhere. And, it was truly incredible. It was all her. I mean, she's the most amazing, smartest person ever. And she knocked it out. And now she's, practicing here locally. And, it's truly incredible.
Y'all did it together. You truly did. To watch your relationship just get stronger and stronger. And I find it really interesting. Some of the strongest relationships that are out there are the ones that start really rocky, and the relationships where you almost get thrown into the deep end together and you figure out how to swim together. And it's been so beautiful watching your stories just get combined in that way. And to be able to come on this platform and to speak into this and to speak to other men and them hear, if I step up and say, I'm going to do this with her, what does that look like? And I think your family's proof of that, of what it looks like to stay together and to just push forward. What are your hopes and dreams when it comes to the future surrounding unplanned pregnancies and this conversation that we're trying to bring to the table?
So from a guy's perspective, when we're going through this, is that one, the only way this works is you have to be the most open and honest with your partner. Whether you're together or not, or how you parent, kind of depends on your situation. But you have to be extremely open and honest. All of your ego has to go to the side. Your fears have to be laid completely out on the table on both sides. And how you were raised, your expectations, it was the only way. I think having that 4 months and having probably an hour-ish phone call every other day for us was what got us ready. And then we were extremely intentional with our communication. From the other side, most guys, I wouldn't say most, I would say a lot of guys get scared and they cut and run. And they go, I don't want this, or they put the burden on the mom. To every guy out there who is going through this, to every partner who has a guy who seems to be on the fence or extremely scared, they need to step up. You have to own your responsibility. Whether that's together or not, it takes two to tango. You have to own your responsibility for this child. And, a dad showing up in whatever capacity is infinitely better than a dad being non-existent. And I can't stress that enough. You have to show up. You have to be there.
Some great advice, because it can seem very isolating from the female's perspective. especially when you don't have that support. Like you said, it takes two to tango. So we both know what could happen when we do certain things. And when it does happen, I think the shock, once the shock wears off, it can sometimes be surprising to watch women have to navigate this completely on their own, and have to provide and emotionally figure out what they're going to do. And I hope this podcast reaches the many women that are out there that find themselves in unplanned pregnancies. And I hope this specific episode can reach some of the men, because as much as we don't talk about unplanned pregnancies on the female side, no one's talking about this on the guy side. No men are coming and talking about how they were involved in an unplanned pregnancy and what that looked like for them. And so I so appreciate you being so vulnerable and cracking open the door of having this conversation.
Yeah, I'm honored to do it. And, Kate and I, I've been lucky that a few people know our story. And so I've been connected personally with those guys. Wow. Where they go, hey, I'm terrified. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, good. Like, that's normal. Like, that's, hey, join the club. And it's really going, it'll be okay. Like, it's time for you to step up and just be there. It's okay to not know how it's going to plan out. Mm-hmm. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to not be where you thought you'd be when you were going to have a kid, married or not. But not showing up is the absolute wrong answer.
Mm-hmm. And it makes for a heck of a story later on down the road. Let me tell you what.
It does. Yeah. I am. So Mason, our oldest, is 7 now, and I am nervous and excited to tell this story to him, and to navigate that conversation. And so I'm sure he'll go, wait, I'm this old, and mommy and daddy's anniversary is this many years. And so, it'll be an interesting one when he puts 2 and 2 together, and have that conversation. So, but I am also very happy to stand there and go, hey, you're the best thing that ever happened. Yes. And to go, you're not a mistake. Mm-hmm. And to instill that love even deeper.
Absolutely. And for him to understand and recognize, at the end of the day, Connor, you had a choice. You had a choice to walk away from all of this, and you didn't. You stepped up and you stepped in for your family, and you had no clue what this would look like. I mean, you had to build the foundation of your relationship overseas, and you had to put in a tremendous amount of effort to make this work. And for that, I believe Mason will just be honored to know that you made those sacrificial choices to keep your relationship with his mother and to have the beautiful family that you guys have today.
Oh, thank you. And I mean, that's the goal. And give all glory to God. And because there were some deep valleys with that past years that we wouldn't have gotten through if it wasn't for him and people, friends like you and others that really stepped up and leaned in and said, hey, it'll be okay.
Well, it was an honor. And thank you again for just sharing your heart on this podcast. And for all of our listeners, we hope to have you back for our next episode of Unplanned and Untold. Bye-bye. Unplanned and Untold drops new episodes every other Wednesday. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review if you love this episode. I'm Caitlin Willing, and this is Unplanned and Untold.